Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing a video talking to you about a type of ammo that I've never shot before, and that's ammo from Discreet Ballistics. Now currently they only have two different calibers that I know of that they're making ammo for. That is 300 Blackout and 308. As you guys know, if you've been following my channel for any length of time, I've shot a ton of Subsonic 300 Blackout already. I've never shot Subsonic 308, so I'm anxious to see how that does. Now full disclosure, the owner of Discreet Ballistics did get in contact with me to see if I wanted to test out their ammo, and I did not pay for this ammo, but you will see the results for yourself and be able to make up your mind. You know, I'm definitely not going to fake any groups for you guys. Now currently they are only offering target loads, which are going to be OTM bullets for 300 Blackout and 308. However, currently they are working on some bullets that are designed to expand at subsonic speeds. For those of you who are familiar with different bullet construction, it's really hard to develop a bullet that will expand at such low velocities. A lot of those hunting bullets are designed to expand in excess of 1800 feet per second, and you know that's way too fast to keep it subsonic. Now for these tests, I'm going to be running it through the same 300 Blackout upper you've seen in a ton of videos. It's going to be wearing a Silencer Spec War silencer, which is the silencer I've used for most of the testing with that rifle, and then I'm going to be using that same silencer on my Savage 10 FCP SR because, you know, if it comes threaded from the factory, I would be rude to not throw a silencer on that to test out this 308. I'm going to go ahead and shoot some of their Subsonic 308 bullets now out of my Savage rifle. Again, we have the Silencer Spec War on the front. Should be fairly quiet, I'm expecting. I got my chronograph set up from also Caldwell chronograph, and then got the target at 50 yards. Let's go ahead and see what we can do. Alright, got a little bit of vertical stringing on that first group, which is kind of to be expected with the first rounds through the silencer, just because the velocity is going to vary a little bit more with those first few rounds as it heats up and all that. So once everything gets to the same temperature, I expect these to tighten up really well, because left to right, this thing was dead on. Man, that tightened up considerably. I'll go ahead and do one more five shot group just to, you know, just because I'm actually having fun. I got to admit, I really didn't know what to expect with this ammo because I've never shot Subsonic 308 before, especially not through this rifle. I'm really impressed with what happened. So this is zeroed for 150 grain Fiocchi ammo at 100 yards. So at 50 yards, my point of aim for my first group was right here at the very bottom edge of this circle, and you can see that my point of impact was 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 to 6 inches low at 50 yards. So obviously we're dealing with a pretty major point of impact shift, but that's to be expected when you're normally putting, you know, 2,900 feet per second behind a 150 grain bullet. You're now dealing with subsonic speeds and 190 grain bullet. So I compensated for that point of impact shift on my other groups. Like I said, there was a little bit more vertical stringing in this first group. It's still probably about an inch center to center. But again, because of the varying velocities with those first couple rounds through the silencer as it's, you know, starting to acclimate itself with the gas and everything, a little bit of vertical stringing, left to right, hardly any variation at all. Second group was this one up here. This is easily less than half an inch for 5 shots at 50 yards, center to center. And then my last group was this here in the middle, definitely under an inch center to center, probably 3/4 to half inch center to center. Which again, I'm really impressed, and I can say velocity, or excuse me, decibel wise, as far as how loud this thing was, it was extremely comfortable even without hearing protection through the Silencer Spec War. Again, I'm dealing with a 20-inch barrel here, so there's plenty of time for that powder to burn before it gets to the end of the barrel, so it's going to help with that you know, bringing that volume down. But man, it kept it all subsonic. In fact, here I had an average velocity of 1,093 feet per second with a maximum spread of 112 feet per second. But again, a lot of those faster ones that kind of bumps that average up, at least as far as the spread, were those first couple. But this is across 15 rounds, so that's not a bad spread. Again, especially when you take that into consideration. Standard deviation of 30.8. But man, I mean, those groups speak for themselves, and I'm sure I'll have shown you close-ups with my calipers just to show you what the actual sizes are on those. And then obviously you got this nice brass that you can reload after the fact, and they're using Lapua brass, which is, you know, about as good as you're gonna get. All right, so I'm gonna try something I've never done before, and that's shooting at this 290-yard target with a Subsonic 308 bullet. So again, these are the bullets from Discreet Ballistics, 190 grains going subsonic. Thankfully, according to my ballistic calculator, I'm going to have 13 mils of drop, and it just so happens that the lowest ring for my primary arm scope is 13 mils. So I'm going to be holding it right at the bottom of the scope. We'll see. I only have 4 rounds. We'll see if I can do it. Wish me luck. Alright, so I'm actually holding at 12 mils. Let's see if I can do that a couple more times. Alright, so once I figured out my hold, 3 for 3, just missed with that first one. I'm really glad I have that other camera set up watching that steel because, man, that's awesome. So I've already run this ammo through a chronograph just to see what kind of consistency we're looking at for velocities and to make sure it all stays subsonic. What I want to do now is put this thing, as you can see, on a more stable platform to see what kind of groups we're looking at. Right now I have a target set up at 50 yards with this set up in my Caldwell lead sled. Got my Vortex Diamondback 4-16 scope up here, so theoretically we should be setting up this ammo for success, but enough jibber jabber, let's see what we can do. Not too shabby. Gonna shoot a couple more groups just to see what we're looking at. I ended up shooting 4 different groups, 4 different 5-shot groups with this Discreet Ballistics ammo, and I got fairly consistent results. Some groups were better than others. Just FYI, ignore this top group. This was me zeroing in this scope after taking off my primary arm scope, so that is not associated with this test. First group I shot was actually this one right here. As you can see, my point of impact was significantly lower and to the right. So then I adjusted my scope for the rest of these groups. But as you can see, the biggest group, again, these are 50 yards, so take that into consideration, was about 1 inch. However, this group over here, again, 5 shots, is definitely probably at a 1/2 inch, maybe even smaller. Now, 190 grain bullets are not something I've run through this barrel before, so I have really no frame of reference for if this barrel likes that. However, keep in mind, each barrel is an individual, so some are going to shoot some ammo better than others. So yours could very well, if it likes it more, you know, you could be looking at these size groups at 100 yards, no problem. But it all seems very consistent. You know, even this group up here, you know, that's a nice tight group, with the exception of that one that dropped a little low that easily would have been under ½ an inch. So not too bad. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up my thoughts about the Discreet Ballistics ammo. When it comes to the 300 Blackout, you know, it performed about the same as a lot of the other 300 Blackout ammo I've shot before, at least subsonic ammo, but it also costs about the same, so it's pretty much even there. However, where I was really surprised was the 308 subsonic stuff. Again, this is the first time I've ever shot subsonic 308, and especially subsonic 308 at 290 yards. And you know, with the help of a ballistic calculator, I was able to figure out more or less what my hold was. My first shot was a little bit high. However, I adjusted where my hold was, which ended up being about 12 mils high, and went 3 for 3 at that point. I really wish I'd had more ammo left over to run through it, just to, you know, see if I could see how long I could have kept that string going. But, you know, I really cannot ask for more than that. Honestly, I think, you know, almost 300 yards is probably a little further than you would normally want to stretch a subsonic round, but if you can, the ammo definitely can. At least that's what I think it demonstrated. Now, you are going to be paying a little bit more for the subsonic 308 than you are going to be for your standard, you know, 308 ball ammo, but I think that's to be expected. And then, even like I said, with the 300 Blackout, it's going to be costing about the same as a lot of the subsonic ammo out there. However, I believe, and you know, these numbers are always subject to change, but I believe if you go on the Discreet Ballistics website and you order a case at a time, I believe that you get a 20% discount on your order. So that brings it to considerably cheaper than some of the other subsonic options out there. Like I said, currently they only have target loads, but I know that they're working on some expanding bullets that are designed to expand at those subsonic speeds, which is excellent for a lot of those hunting bullets or a lot of those expanding bullets. They really need velocity in order to expand. A lot of them have like a, you know, bottom speed of like 1800 feet per second, which is obviously way too fast for a subsonic bullet. One of the other things that really impressed me about the 308 subsonic stuff was how quiet it was. Now, again, I have a Silenceco Spec War, which is a pretty darn quiet silencer in 308. So it's given it its best potential. And this is a 20-inch barrel, I believe, according to Discreet Ballistics. As long as your barrel's shorter than, say, 22 inches, you should be fine as far as keeping it subsonic. And then obviously with the 300 Blackout, they have two different loads for the different velocities. So that's good stuff there. One of the other things I think is worth mentioning, especially with this 308 stuff, they use probably some of the best brass out there, which is Lapua brass. And even with their 300 Blackout or their 308, they hand check every single bullet, every single cartridge before they send it out of their factory, which, you know, you really can't ask for much more than that, having each bullet each cartridge hand inspected off the line. So that's some pretty awesome quality control there. I can definitely expect to buy a lot more of this 308 stuff, because again, I was not expecting these results. So I definitely plan on shooting it a lot more, especially out of this Savage gun here. Now, as far as how it would cycle, I don't know if it would cycle a semi-automatic 308, especially not without a silencer. It may or may not. I don't know, because I don't have one. But, you know, if you have like a SCAR 17 or like an AR-10 style rifle, I don't know if it would cycle it. However, where subsonic really shines is bolt action, and man, it was ridiculously quiet. I even had another gentleman out here while I was shooting these 4 rounds, and he made a mention. He's no stranger to shooting suppressed, and he mentioned just how quiet it was. I mean, even the sound of it hitting the steel was louder than me shooting it. So definitely a lot of fun to shoot. Definitely check out their website. I'll have links to their website below so you can see what they have. Again, currently it's just the target loads, but I know in the near future they'll be putting out their expanding bullets as well. Definitely expect once those come out, you'll see those on my channel. Definitely want to run them through some gel and see how they do. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and throw those in the comment section down below. I'll try to get back to you as quick as I can. Definitely check out the Discreet Ballistics website for yourself. But with all that said, I hope you're able to get something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching.